Looking good. Yeah. Brian, yeah.
Everyone, and welcome to the planning board regular meeting on Thursday, September 21st, 2023, and it is 9:30 a.m. Please remember to silence your cell phones. May we have a roll call, please?
Member Adwar,
Yeah.
Member DeMoss,
Present.
Member Powell,
Present.
Member Chinovsky,
Present.
Member Brown, Chairperson Goldenberg.
Here,
Thank you.
may we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, Roger. We're sorry about. Yeah, the bridge was up and the train was coming also. We know. All right. Is there a call for a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion that we. Agenda as presented.
Second.
All right. We have a roll call on that one? No? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, swearing in of the public, to those giving testimony, please stand and raise your right hands to be sworn in by Ms. DeHart to provide testimony to the application you are affiliated with. Ms. DeHart, please swear in those giving testimony.
By the authority vested in me as notary of the state of Florida, do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
If there are public comments, please limit them to 5 minutes and we'd appreciate it. And if you do give public comment, please come to the podium and identify yourself and where you reside. All right, we have approval of the minutes from August 10th of 2023. Are there any alterations or additions? Hearing none, I ask for a aye vote. All in favor?
Aye.
We need a motion to approve. Thank you. We need a motion to approve the agenda, the minutes as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 All right, new business. Development application number 22-0015. Michael Dugan, is it? Is that the correct? Yes, is that how you pronounce the last name? Lou? Application by John Dykinga. Is that correct? What I thought. Ocean One Marine Inc. for a special exemption request to install a 100 square foot dock and a 25,000 pound capacity boat lift for the property located at 4229 Tranquility Drive. Do any members have any ex parte communication? Hearing none, let's move on. At this time, Ms. Allen, the microphone is yours.
Good. For the record, Ingrid Allen, town planner. We'll go ahead and start with some aerials of the property.
Is that
Please.
microphone on?
Should be. You're not on.
Yep, it is. Okay.
The aerials do start on page 13 of your packets. I have them behind you. Page. Okay. Here you have the property overhead. Aerial, I should say. Property's marked in red. Outlined in red. And then here you have a view of the dock. This is obviously the rear of the property. As indicated, this is a request to install a new 100 square foot dock and as well as a 4-post 20,000 pound capacity lift. There's currently the dock here which you can see is on the plans as well. This will be removed. The applicant has received approval or authorization from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. On that permit, it does indicate that a separate permit from Army Corps of Engineers is not required. Now, I did indicate on page 10 of your staff reports that they are proposing some steps along the seawall. Now, there was some inconsistency with the where the steps are located. The FDEP permit, they are located 10 feet from the property line. On the plan submitted to the town, they're located 19 feet. I'll show you those in just a moment. Now, I state that even though the steps are not, accessory facilities, I did note that there is some correspondence from FDP in your packets, starting on page 15, where they indicate that inconsistency in the steps, that they're going to 19 feet from the property line is sufficient. It doesn't impact the validity of their permit. Let's go ahead and just look at some of these plans. Again, by 17 sheets that are in your packets. This is a survey of the property. Again, here's the existing dock that would go. Okay. Here you have the site plan. So here's the proposed boat lift. The boat lift is within the respects to 25-foot marine site setback that's required in this particular zoning district, which is the single family zoning district. And here you have the proposed steps here, and you have the new dock area. Here you have the dock plan. Here's showing the 19 where the steps are going to be located from the property line. Here you have a cross section of the lift, stair detail, and then here you have where the applicant superimposed the boat. The height of the piling, that's the top. It's at 7.5 feet from the top of the deck. Obviously, based on this superimposed boat, the lift will not be higher than the superstructure of the boat when lifted. I guess that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I do always state that, per the town code, if they do receive approval from the planning board, the applicant will be required to obtain a building permit from the town's building department. And the approval, I should say commencement of construction has to happen within 2 years. That's also according to the code. Happy to address any questions. And the Rise agent is here as well to address questions.
Do any members of the board have any questions of Ms. Ingrid?
Nope.
Pretty straightforward. Thank you, Ingrid. Applicant, you may now make a presentation if you so need to. All right, thank you. Any board members have any questions of the applicant? All right, the public meeting is not closed. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion to approve with conditions or a motion to deny the request? Mr. Hart, please call the roll.
No, we gotta make a motion.
Oh, make the motion.
So move that we accept. this.
All right, second. Brian, you want to?
Okay, second.
All right. And now let's call the roll.
Member Edward,
Yeah.
Member Demas,
Yes.
Member Brown, Member Powell,
Yes.
Member Chinovsky,
Yes,
Chairperson Goldenberg,
Yes.
motion carries. Thank you.
Next subject is the development application number 23-0005. JVK Investments LLC, application by William Thomas Unlimited Permit Services, Inc. for a special exemption request to install approximately 95 linear feet of seawall and seawall cap, approximately 1 feet of retaining wall, a 223 square foot dock, and a 40,000 pound capacity no profile boat lift for the property located at 4321 Intercoastal Drive. Do any members have any ex parte communication?
Nope.
Hearing none, let's move on. Ms. Allen, it's your mic.
Good. Okay, again, we'll start with the aerials. These are on page 35 of the packet. I provided this one again, just to give you perspective of what the property is on the lake. I do reference in the staff report that, obviously the property is right here outlined. And here you have, the width of the lake is approximately 370 feet. And then obviously you have the more northern lake, which is not as wide, and then you have the canal here, the canal here, the canal to the south. Just wanted to. Again, here's that 370 foot approximate width of the lake from the subject property. And here is a zoom in on the existing rear yard, and you can see there's a dock there that will be removed. So again, this is the installation of an approximate 95 linear foot seawall. This will be located within 18 inches waterward of the existing seawall, obviously includes the cap. There's an approximate 101 foot retaining wall, a 233 square foot dock, and a 40,000 pound capacity. This is a no profile lift. The applicant has received FDP approval. I provided that file number in your staff report on page 31. And on that FDP permit, it does indicate that Army Corps approval is not required. As you all are aware, the town code does require a seawall to be at base flood elevation or higher if it's located on the west side of A1A. The current base flood elevation for this property is 6 feet NAVD. Their proposed seawall is 6.5 feet NAVD, so this is obviously consistent with the requirement. And I guess we can go to the plans. Here's the survey for the property. This is existing site plan. There's that existing dock. So here you have the 25 foot site setback on each side that is required. That's a marine setback. So they are in compliance with that. And here you have the proposed dock. Here you have the width of the length of the seawall and seawall cap. And here is the proposed retaining wall right here. The code does indicate seawalls and retaining walls have to get approval by the planning board. And the dimension of this no profile lift is 45 by 15, which is a pretty standard that we've seen with another no profile lift that board recently considered a few months back. Here we have the seawall section. Again, here is the new elevation of the seawall at that 6.5. We have the dock cross section. Here you have the boat lift detail. So this is really the top of the lift. Again, this is a no profile. I indicated in the staff report, the applicant or the property owner didn't indicate that they do not know the boat that they're going to put in there yet. And as I stated previously, and it's in the staff report as well, is not a requirement in the code that the applicant has to tell us exactly what boat they're going to put in there. But nevertheless, they do go ahead and provide that definition of boat lift. It's a requirement of the code that the lift can't be higher than the superstructure of the boat. But I always have the applicant put that section on there just to make sure we're all on the same page. And the applicant has also provided some photographs. Again, these are for illustrative purposes, just to give you all some perspective as to this no profile lift, how it may look. Oh, this is the Bolito plat. I referenced this in your staff report. Again, here's the lake, the canals. Just wanted to provide you a view of the plat, given I reference it. So according to the code, boat lifts, mooring facilities cannot create a hazardous interference in navigation, endanger life or property, deny the adjacent property owners reasonable visual access, and they can't infringe upon navigational practices. And then I do reference that given the location of the slip on probably one of the wider parts of the lakes, when you compare to either lake, it's one of the widest areas. That speaks to the navigational issue. There are some conditions of approval if the board does approve the request. The first condition is that the no profile lift shall only be used to store a vessel and not for any other purpose, including but not limited to walking, gathering, or sitting. And that no mooring of any boat or vessel is permitted along any side of the no profile boat lift. Glad to provide any questions, and we have an authorized agent here as well.
As always, Ingrid, thank you for the detailed work that you've done for us. Roger, you have any comment on that? It was your
I have a question.
area.
I have a question. So the seawall. So the existing seawall is going to remain. And they're just going to put concrete panels over the seawall. And by this, I understand that they're going to increase the height of the seawall cap to a little over 2 feet. Because it's 4.26 now, it's going to go to 6.5.
Right, that's
So it's only going to go up 2 feet, right?
given the requirement for seawalls, it has to be above and based on elevation.
I have no questions on the lift because I'm a strong proponent of the no profile lift because I have one. So,
That would be a good reason.
but this is, how many piles are on this lift? It should be 10, right?
I believe it is 10. And it's on your sheet. Yep, it is 10 piles.
I don't have any questions.
All right, one question, it is a fairly tight community over there. There's been no objection to any of this at this point.
Glad you asked. I did not receive any public comment from any resident on this. Again, keep in mind, the code does require public notice. So everyone within 500 feet was notified. So I have not received anything.
Great.
May I ask, Ingrid, is that future site or house going to be under construction? Do you know?
I don't believe they have a approval for that yet. I don't recall.
It will be.
Yeah, that's what.
I'm sure.
It will be in the future. But that's,
That's in the
I
future.
received,
another
just to let you know, I'm within 500 feet and I received 4 notices.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, but that was swimming 500 feet.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, does the applicant have, thank you, Ms. Allen. Does the applicant have anything that they would like to say? Make a presentation? Let's, please come to the mic and identify yourself, please.
William Thomas, Unlimited Permit Services, 902 Northeast First Street, Pompano Beach, Florida. And I'm here to answer whatever questions you might have.
Are you installing the lift?
No, I'm the paper pusher that processes the permits to what the town needs before the contractor. B&M is the contractor that'll be doing the work. They do a lot of work in this area.
Any other questions of the applicant? Thank you very much.
Nope.
The public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion to approve, deny, or with conditions? Ryan, go ahead.
I make a motion that we approve the work to be done.
My second.
All right. Do we have a vote, please?
Member Demas,
Yes.
Member Powell,
Yes.
Member Adwar.
Yeah.
Member Brown.
Yeah.
Member Chinovsky,
Yes,
Chairperson Goldenberg,
Yes. So
motion
approved.
carries.
Thank you. All right, now to the unfinished business. Opening discussion, or hopefully the closing discussion on the proposed changes, amendment concepts to the accessory marine facilities, AMF and seawall regulations of the town code. I refer to Ms. Allen on this again.
Okay, so I'll just very briefly state your last discussion was about on August 10th for anyone who may be watching. So your,
Ingrid, could you
Yes.
speak a little louder?
is it not? Let me to lean in a little bit. Is that better? Is that better? Okay. So from the last August 10th meeting, you indicated that you want, or there seems to be a consensus
Yes.
for no site setbacks for docks townwide, and that would be a marine site setback. However, you did want to keep the minimum 10-foot side setback for all other accessory facilities townwide as it was initially proposed. And for lots less than 100 feet in width, the setback is 10% of the width, or the setback cannot be less than 5 feet.
Yep.
You want to provide one ladder for each 100 feet of abutting waterway, canal, or lake. For properties less than 100 feet, you want one ladder. I think initially the way you worded it was that you wanted it for each 100 feet or one ladder. But then if you just put the or, then if you're more than 100 feet, then you have the option to do just one ladder rather than two. So I broke it up that way. Again, if you all want to change it, by all means, you can. The ladder shall be either adjustable or fixed and shall extend into the water at mean low tide. And you want these two, you're going to make a recommendation unless you change your mind. You want to require a building permit for marine ladders. And then as far as encroachment into waterway, again, this would be, I should say, the intercoastal waterways exempt from this, right? I think that's the consensus that's been from the board at several meetings. So it'd be 25 feet or 25% of the waterway to be measured from the wet face of seawall or bulkhead. And then obviously we would keep the provision that we currently have in the code, section 30-12, where we could always bring an expert in if something was outside, not the traditional size or what have you. Exempt personal watercraft lifts from the requirement that in no case shall the lift be higher than the superstructure of the boat when lifted. It seems that you, again, the board seemed favorable to that provision, proposed amendment. And I think that was all that you covered last meeting.
I believe there was one other, and that had to do with the maximum seawall height that we were discussing. It was supposed to be, I believe, base flood elevation plus 1 foot. Isn't that-
Yeah, that's on the bottom. That's under July 13th.
Yeah,
You
I think
all,
we agreed on that.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
your draft recommendation, so it's there, correct?
All right.
Maximum seawall height.
And another question that I have is on the ladders. It requires a building permit, but can't we roll that into the AMF application instead of having a separate?
That could be your recommendation.
Yeah, that would make it cleaner, wouldn't it? Would it
So
not?
trigger it when you come in for an accessory marine.
Facility, yeah.
Yeah,
And that way you don't have to come back in and have another permit for a building permit for a ladder.
yeah.
That would be my thought.
But again, a ladder is not considered an accessory marine, so if they're just doing
Well-
that, they don't need planning board approval. Right, I mean, if they're coming for an accessory marine facility, I would have them call it out, hey, call out your ladder.
Yeah,
on-
well, and the other thing though is that this will be grandfathered anyway
Right.
at this point. So as soon as they trigger an AMF, then the ladder would be part of it. And I think would make it cleaner instead of coming back for a separate building permit.
Yep,
Jason, any
I
comments?
agree. No, I agree with you.
Anybody else have any comments?
I'm sorry, I have a question.
You're in.
The 25 feet off the wet face to the seawall, is that for a fixed structure? Or does that include piles as well?
According to the code, like pilings, freestanding pilings are considered accessory marine facilities. Yeah.
So
if
can
it's
you put a pile further than 25 feet?
Well, I mean, we have seen those. I think there was the recent no profile lift at 4206. I believe they had a piling. I don't remember how far out. I don't have the plans in front of me. Yeah, so I think you have to be mindful that that could be the case.
So I don't think that pile was more than 25 feet off the seawall, but if somebody put a 25 feet out and then put another pile, because one of the things that you said today was that you can't attach a boat adjacent to that no profile lift, as an example. Is there a reason why you said that?
That's just a condition of approval. I think it's reasonable that you are having a no profile lift. That no profile lift is just that. It's a boat lift. And, to make it now an opportunity to more additional boats and go further out into the water. you know,
Yeah,
that's
as a permanent
Yeah.
fixture, quote unquote. I mean, if you have a guest coming in and they wanna hang a boat there for, you know,
Yeah, for a short period of time.
yeah,
I understand, but so you can't put, so you can or you cannot put a pile more than 25 feet out.
that's something for the board to consider. I mean, I know that there.
I understand, I
Yeah.
understand what
Yeah.
you said about mooring next to it. I learned that during my construction. Because all of my plans had a boat on the outside of my no profile left, and then I was notified that I couldn't do that.
but
So-
Roger, a question.
Excuse me?
The question for you, on the pilings, does that limit the length of, or the width of the profile?
Well,
dock?
goes out, the dock can only go out 25 feet.
Right, well, then,
So, but if you put a pile, I mean, if you put a perpendicular dock and then you put a pile out, it's all about where the pile is, right?
right, but we are saying that you can't extend out within 25 feet, is that correct?
Yeah,
So it does limit basically the length of the lift.
okay. I'm okay with that.
Okay,
So you can, just in clarification, so you can, you may have the requirement to drive piles. This is dolphin poles, right? Does that include those? Wouldn't be part of the lift.
well, that's a good question. Because I know they have dolphin boats. And that extends further out, but that is the intercoastal. So that is a bit different.
But a
don't
dolphin,
control
a
that.
dolphin pile would be installed to be able to stabilize a vessel.
Right.
Rather than stabilizing it against the dock. So, I don't think that that's unreasonable.
Right, but we tend to not have dolphin poles in the lakes, and in canals, we have them on the intercoastal. As an ocean code. So do we want to include dolphin poles or just,
I think we should allow it only because, in a storm, it doesn't make a difference where a boat is. I'm going through this right now with insurance on my new vessel and it's a nightmare.
yeah,
That's
but you're in a lake at this point, you're not on
Does,
the.
it doesn't make a difference when a storm comes through. I mean, it's pretty rough in there, even in the lake. It's worse on the intercoastal with boats going by. But on a lake, it's pretty bad when a storm comes through and you have to be able to tie the boat up to make sure it's secure. And tying it to a dock is not always the
I
safest
lost
way.
the boat in that.
Yeah.
I know,
So in the house that I have across the street, when we have a storm, I have to run lines across the waterway
right, but
to tie to the other person's dock and tell them that if I damage their dock, that I will financially support the rebuilding of it. And if I had a pole to tie it to,
But-
it would be
okay.
safer.
I don't disagree, but what I'd like to do is move forward with this, and if someone needs dolphin pilings, then they would come to the special exception.
The exceptions, okay.
And because if we present this to the commission, it's gonna be difficult enough, not that I have any doubt about the commission's ability to understand this, but it's gonna be difficult enough to talk about marine setbacks versus the land setbacks.
Okay, I'm fine with that. It's just you have to generate a hardship, that's all. And I don't know that that's necessary, a hardship, that's all.
Okay,
But that's okay. I think we should stick with what our plan is and move
and
forward.
move forward.
If I could just add,
Uh-oh.
that 4206, they label that piling as a mooring piling. Okay, and that mooring piling again is stuck out in front of the no profile lift was 12.8 feet from the property.
Well, which is still
Yeah, and theirs was
acceptable.
like on the canal part of the property, so. For what it's worth.
Okay. Do we have an agreement then that we, Ms. Allen and maybe myself, present this to the commission as presented with the changes for requiring a building permit for the ladders that goes in with AMFs, accessory marine facilities?
I was gonna say the only accessory marine concept that you all didn't make a
Yes.
judgment on on page 86 are the list of the amendment concepts was the maximum seawall cap width of 3 feet and a maximum seawall cap plus stock at 8 feet. Do you want to put thresholds on cap widths and dock widths, or so long as it's 25 feet or 25%, you don't care how wide those are?
Uh,
You know, we just approved a seawall that's
6.5, right?
not the height,
Right. but the
distance.
width.
We just approved the seawall that they're not removing the existing seawall. They're putting concrete panels in front of it and then batter piles. So that's going to be further from the property line and a 5-foot dock. So I think that it's no different than your 8 feet here because the seawall cap goes past the property line as well. So I think the 8 feet is a reasonable number.
For a seawall cap plus dock.
Yeah.
And I guess if there ever was a scenario, they could get the variance, right? Even though it's
Correct.
outside the property line, but it is a dimensional requirement.
No, you can still get a variance in that assessment
Okay.
because it's accessory to it.
And same for the 25 feet and 25% in the waterway, even though it's again, not on their property, it's in the waterway, they could still get a variance if they exceed. if they-
Yeah, I believe that's how it should
Okay.
be set up, because, you know, I understand about the dolphin piles and the mooring post. There might be a situation where it is appropriate.
Yeah.
So then they could.
Yeah, but you have to show a hardship.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
In
what
order
I'm
to be
saying.
able to get the exception, and that committee is not very forgiving.
No, They haven't had one in a very long.
Yeah, it's been a while, we haven't had,
I
we
haven't
haven't had
had
any
a meeting in a
variances.
very long time.
Yeah,
People
there's
are-
other,
people are
there's other variance
afraid.
criteria in addition to hardship, yeah.
Agreed.
There's other things I gotta.
Why don't you bring that up, Dave?
Let me just make sure I got it right.
Okay, so then can I add that you are, there's a consensus from the board with a maximum seawall cap plus dock width at 8 feet?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, yes.
And not necessarily the 3-foot width for the cap, seawall cap, just the maximum seawall cap plus dock at 8 feet?
Roger, you deal with this more than,
The seawall cap plus the dock at 8 feet, yes.
Okay, so we'll get rid of the 3-foot reference.
all right. So on page 86, that's the bullet points. I'll
Yeah,
wait for you to catch up.
86, these are the concepts that were initially proposed by Mr. Bobby. And these were the concepts that you were reviewing and, providing the recommendation. So you've touched on all of them. So,
Can you then make a bullet point up with everything that we discussed and we are about to hopefully approve? And then we can set up a meeting with the commission, if you'd like me to be there and help you explain what was going on, even though you don't
Absolutely.
need my help. But at least I'll give you a little support and then we can move on.
so you want to adopt everything today? Or you want me to write it all up again? Look at it?
No. Let's see if we can approve everything today.
Okay,
We'll make a consensus. Maybe you can disseminate it in an email to the board, what we had discussed and approved to finalize that, and then we can set up an appointment. with
what
the
I'll
commission.
do is, once you make your recommendation, I will sit down with the town manager. Let him know your recommendation, how he wishes to proceed as far as you coming to the commission meeting, what commission meeting would be appropriate to have you at. So yeah, that's typically the protocol. I'll sit down with him and we'll work that out and I'll advise the board accordingly.
Thank you. Can we have a motion to
Wait,
approve?
the only other thing I think that you should note in here is that this does not include floating docks. I think that we should specify that it's not putting restrictions on floating docks. Because the 10-foot setback would not pertain to floating docks,
Floating docks or floating vessel platform,
floating vessel platform.
floating vessel platforms, so floating docks. is
And which we
floating
said we cannot control anyway.
There's very little you can do with
Okay.
floating vessel platforms. So you can exclude those.
What's the difference between a
Was it-
floating?
Well,
vessel
because you could
platform and
have
a
a
floating dock?
dock that goes up and down, that's not a drive-on platform. Theoretically. I don't know if they have them here, but North Palm Beach, some people have
Yeah,
floating
they-
docks
with
that-
gas.
actually on rings that go up and down with the
Mhm.
tide. I know, kind of a crazy concept. I don't think there's many here or any here, I'm not sure.
No.
But the floating vessel platform is what's regulated by statute and floating boat vessel. Yeah.
I could just add, it's also lend the floating boat lift, right?
Right, right,
Okay.
right, right.
Because
It's
I know we
floating
have,
vessel platforms, floating boat. vessel.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
floating vessel platform is the state terminology.
Right,
yeah. I
that's
think the
those
way we
drive on.
have it, floating vessel platform boat lift exception, okay.
Are we all on the same page here?
Yes.
Yes,
You
yes,
have a motion to approve the recommendations to the commission on accessory marine facilities and stuff.
It's a motion related
Second.
step.
Could we have a roll call vote,
Is
please?
there a second?
Yeah,
Oh,
there was
sorry.
a second.
Thank you.
We don't want to call it stuff, Lynn. What do we want to call it?
No, just, it's really docks and
Accessory marine facility
facilities, yeah, because the docks
Okay.
and accessory
and seawalls. There was.
and seawalls.
Okay. So we have a motion, and we have a second. Can we have a roll call vote?
Because it's a formal recommendation.
Member Powell,
Yes.
Member Demoss,
Yes.
Member Adwar, Member Brown,
Yes.
Member Chinovsky,
yes.
Chairperson Goldenberg.
Yes. So
Motion carried.
it is approved. Now, could I have a point of personal? Thank you.
That was 6 months of discussion. Just counted on my fingers since March.
Okay, well, we tried to do it and we got it done. Thank you so much. All right. I have a point of personal privilege. It's bittersweet, but Brian and his wife Janice are moving out of town. They know when to get going. So they're moving down to Austin, is it?
Close to Austin, yes.
Yeah.
Texas.
To be with their children so they can take care of them again. And I want to say that Ryan has been a valued member of Highland Beach and he will be sorely missed. And as a planning board friend, we came in at the same time,
Mhm.
but you have enough sense to bail out early. And we wish you and Janice the best for the rest of your days.
Well, thank you.
And hopefully
Okay.
maybe we'll see you again.
Could be. Could be.
And thank you so much for your service to this community and to your condominium.
Thank you, Eric. Very much appreciated. I will just in a couple parting words. Ingrid is the shining star of this group.
Unbelievable.
She, we are just along for the ride. What you say, we do. And your efforts are just so much appreciated. I have learned a lot just being on this committee. Highland Beach is 3 miles of paradise and you all enjoy. And it's been a pleasure being on the committee with you all. And best of luck and happiness. Thank you very much.
And to you and Janice also.
And
All
just,
right.
and just remember, things are bigger in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. That means makes you smaller. Just remember that.
Yeah,
Okay, conversely. All right, announcements. Thank you again, Brian.
thank you.
September 21st, 2023, 5:01 PM. Town Commission, second public hearing on the budget. Good luck with that. October 3rd at 1:30 PM, Town Commission meeting. October 10th, 1 PM, Code Enforcement Board regular meeting. And October 12th, 2023, 9:30 AM, we all meet here again for the planning board, but without Brian. And with that, I call for an adjournment. Can I have a motion? All right, so moved at 10:09. The meeting is closed, adjourned. Thank you all.